Hey everyone, Stess is back here today, finally, for another album review. Today I have The Strokes with their new album Comedown Machine. The Strokes are a New York-based indie rock band with some post-punk and new wave influences. They found their success with their release Is This It?, which was their first release, which was considered by many to be like a really, just a really great rock album. For me personally, I liked the album, but I didn't see it as the masterpiece that I think a lot of people did. I still very much enjoyed my time with it though. For a lot of people since then it's been pretty much downhill, maybe except for Room of Fire. A lot of their releases have not been up to scratch. They broke up and came back with a release, and after the announcement that they were coming back mainly for the money, I think a lot of people got a little bit butthurt, and their release Angles, which was the first release after they broke up, was a bit subpar, and yeah, so a lot of people have been considering The Strokes as pretty much a bit of yesterday's news. However, they are back with this new album, Comedown Machine, and for me it's a bit of a step up, back in the right direction as opposed to what they've done in recent years. The first track, Tap Out, for me was a pretty solid opener. Started off with a catchy riff, just had great production. It kind of had these like laid back vocals. I think the whole album kind of has these laid back vocals as opposed to what they've done in the past. For some of the tracks actually they sound a little bit whiny or flat. I did mention that, and for some it actually it really pulls it off and it sounds good. So yeah, but I'll get to that when what tracks I thought were flat as opposed to like the just laid back. Yeah, this track just had a pretty awesome solo came in. A couple of the tracks had some guitar solos which just really fit to those tracks. Nothing that's going to blow you out of the water, but they're just suitable. So yeah, Tap Out was an all-round solid track. All of the tune the same, just another tight, great production track. Catchy rock song. I thought it was a little bit repetitive, but I think it only went for 3 minutes if my memory serves me correctly. So the repetitiveness wasn't too bad. One Way Trigger, I think this was a song they released a little while ago as their single, I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, so One Way Trigger is a really tight rock song. It was really upbeat. Really great single, to be honest. I think you'd enjoy hearing that on the radio. Welcome to Japan started off with this really funky kind of guitar riff, and it was really great, but it kind of got repetitive really quickly. It just kind of had a slightly dumbed down version of it over the course as in the verse as Casablanca's vocals came in, but it was the same riff over and over again, and I got pretty tired of it really quickly despite how cool it was to start with. I didn't really think anything to the chorus. It just felt a little bit flat until right at the end where it kind of crescendoed. I think it probably should have been like that through the whole song, and it could have been a pretty great track, so that track was a little bit of a letdown for me. 80s Comedown Machine, again, it started off with this really funky kind of guitar riff, but these distorted vocals came in, and like, I have no problem with distorted vocals, but the excessive use of them was really quite off-putting. Like, don't get me wrong, the Strokes sound incorporates like distorted vocals a lot of the time, but it was a really obnoxious distortion, and because it was just the same through the whole track, I really got tired of it, and yeah, it probably should have been turned off after one verse, but otherwise it was a really great track. The melody and all of that was really catchy and enjoyable. 50/50 was probably my favourite song on this album. It was a really great punk-influenced, synth-laden track. It was very pretty, quite laid back compared to other songs on the album. Had a really great chorus. It had this, in the chorus, it had like this, couldn't tell if it was a background vocal or a distorted violin, but it was really quite haunting, whatever it was. If you guys listen to it, you'll know it's kind of a high-pitched kind of sound. I couldn't really quite pick out which of the two it was. Maybe it was blended of two, I don't know. But regardless, it was really great. Slow Animals, again, just kind of like those first two tracks, just another tight, great rock song. Quite simple, but just really enjoyable. Partners in Crime and Chances, which is the next two tracks, these were the main tracks which I had a bit of a problem with the flat vocals. Oh, and the next track as well, which was Happy Ending. Happy Ending not too bad in the chorus, but the two former ones, throughout the whole thing, Casablanca's vocals very a bit whiny and very much flat through the whole thing, and I found that really quite off-putting. Partners in Crime, the actual instrumentation was a little bit bland as well. In Chances though, the instrumentation was really great. The actual song itself was really enjoyable, and so it was quite disappointing. The vocals really ruined it for me. Yeah, Happy Ending, as I said, the chorus was fine, but the verse was still a little bit flat. and I think the song itself on that one was reasonable, but it was kind of just felt like more of the same. And then it finished off with Call It Fate, Call It Karma, which is kind of like this reincarnation of really ancient sounding, I don't mean ancient in a bad way, but had this really warm, surfy kind of vintage feel to it, kind of 50s, 60s music. It was an interesting experiment. It was quite a nice closer. It had this nice sort of warm kind of appeal to it. The vocals are a little bit cold. The track itself was quite enjoyable. It was a little bit repetitive, but yeah. I think it might have, I'm not sure, but it might have been influenced by Tame Impala's closing track on their most recent album, Lonerism, because they kind of did a similar thing. Their last track was a little bit of a vintage kind of feel to it. Maybe, I don't know, they're both kind of in the same field in terms of musical underground scene, kind of would probably appeal to some of the same audiences, I don't know. Yeah, overall I'm going to give the album a 7 out of 10. I thought it was quite enjoyable. Yeah, it was a decent rock album. Some tight indie rock songs in there, just basically what the Strokes are famous for. I quite enjoyed most of the tracks on this album. They just kind of went with that same formula that they've always gone, interesting yet simple. It's certainly nothing that's going to blow you out of the water, but I thought it was quite enjoyable. But then, like, in my opinion, I don't think Is This It, which is supposed to be their masterpiece, blew me out of the water at all. So maybe if you're a big Strokes fan, you'll really like this, I don't know. Let me know. The negatives, I found, yeah, it was just those flat vocals in some of the tracks, particularly towards the end of the album. It ruined a couple of really great songs in there, and which is kind of unfortunate, but otherwise it was pretty decent. So thanks for watching. I think this is going to be a shorter review for once, which is good. And I will see you guys next time.